Hello, everyone. I think we are live. I'm just gonna, as I usually do, double check, make sure it's there.
Measure twice, cut once.
Yes, exactly. That's what I do. Yes, we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the executive director of the Gallatin County Democrats. I have the pleasure and honor of every Tuesday and Thursday night talking with our representatives and senators from Gallatin County about what's going on in the legislature. And tonight, I am thrilled to be joined by Senator JP Pomnichowski, who represents Senate District 33 in Bozeman. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Absolutely.
I love talking to my fellow Democrats.
Well, we love talking with you and having your time. I know it's precious. You are really busy. You are also the Senate Minority Whip, correct?
Yes.
So you are in the leadership of the Democratic caucus. So that adds even more to your roles and responsibilities. But for the moment, I would love just to know what's been going on this week in the Senate and what's coming up next week. What are some bills we need to be paying attention to?
First of all, hi, everyone. JP Pomnikowski, Senate District 33 in Bozeman. Thank you so much, Gallatin Democrats, for the invitation. I am serving in my 7th legislative session. I began my service in 2007 in the House of Representatives, served 3 terms there, and then was elected to the Senate. And after this session, will be term limited in the Senate. But I really have loved the policy work. I love the policy, not the politics of the legislature. This week, we are still there's always a bit of a honeymoon period at the start of a session because we're coming off of the interim, which is 18 months, where joint bipartisan interim committees meet, and they usually look at issues that just take much more time and we go much more in depth. And then those committees, those joint bipartisan committees, forward interim committee bills. And so, that gives a lot of us, even in a very partisan atmosphere in the session, some confidence that something that is an interim committee bill has, it's just generally a good policy idea. We know that it's come out from a joint bipartisan committee and over months and months, or a year and a half or more of work. And so we are still seeing interim committee bills. Those are the first to be introduced in a session. The Senate, I should qualify this.
Yeah, I think you should.
By saying the Senate is still in a bit of the honeymoon period. The House has gone to the dark side. They started last week. And just a lot of the personal judgment bills, that's kind of how I think of them. Those have already hit the ground running in the House. I'm not sure who else you've had speak, but some of your House members will be able to speak to those. And, there are times when the Republicans say that they want to make smaller government. Well, apparently so small that it can fit right in your bedroom.
Yep.
So some of that has taken place in the House, and those bills are being expedited and coming to the Senate chamber. So we heard in the Senate this week, the guns on campus and concealed carry without a permit, that all hit the Senate this week. We expect, so there's a bit of a honeymoon period, which is a little deceptive. And then there are just the full on, we want to judge people bills that are coming our way.
Right. So when do you think the honeymoon period will be over in the Senate?
What time is it now? We've already seen some kind of fairly, some bills that are clearly, we're the minority and we're just going to get rolled on this stuff. So we've seen a few of those. I would say next week it's really going to hit. I mean, we are just about at the end of our interim committee bills. And those, typically those are, or agency bills also. And when those bills are introduced, they say, by the request of the Department of Health and Human Services, or at the request of the Economic Affairs Interim Committee. And so we're probably about done with those.
Okay. So what are some bills that you maybe are working on, or that like some other senators who are working on, that you are more hopeful about, that even being in the minority, like these are bills that we're probably going to get, at least a good possibility of passing the Senate? Whether or not passes the House is another story, and I recognize that, but like, what is there, like, give me some good things to think about. I think we all need, like, we all had a wonderful, at the national level, like thinking about, President Biden and Vice President Harris, and every time I get to say that, I cry a little. So it's like lovely at the national level, and I know they have a mess to clean up. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening at the national level, but at the state level, like, give us something good to think about too, because I think I've been personally a little down this week about what's been going on, at least on the House side.
Well, and that reaction is completely founded. I mean, these are awful, awful bills that have been heard. But on a good note, I'm planning on bringing a bill, and for those who like to imbibe among us, and that's me included, the pandemic illustrated something. I'm bringing a bill to allow retail sales of alcohol before 8 a.m. So right now you're limited. You cannot buy. If you walk into your grocery store or convenience store at 7:30 a.m. and you're shopping for a couple things, and you think, I'm just going to get all done at once, and I want to buy my box of wine right now. Well, they can't sell it to you. So what the pandemic revealed was that a lot of the grocery stores instituted senior hours, and they were typically early. So right. Early arrival, no crowds, face masks and PPE and all that kind of, it's a safer shopping environment for seniors, or for people with higher immunodeficiency situations, right? But they can't buy their box of wine. And so I aim to solve that for you. I would like you to buy your alcohol. And also, if I can just add this. So I know a lot of us get up at dark 30 in the summertime to get on the river early. And so on your way, you're headed out to the river with your boat or your cooler, and you think, I'm just going to stop and get some pop and chips and a sandwich and some beer and go spend the day on the river. Well, can't buy it in the morning. And I just think, I'm not going to crack it open in my car. This is for the future, but it really is for sales of alcohol, or just removing the restriction of sales of alcohol before 8 a.m. and for retailers only. This is not on premises consumption. This is not presuming to keep bars open past 2 a.m. That is not the goal. This is just, it's just better for customers, better for retailers. I think it's a great bill.
I mean, you're helping businesses, small businesses, local businesses increase their sales. You're removing barriers. You are increasing access. I think this is wonderful. This is so democratic. Like, talk about democratic values. I love it. Thank you. Okay, so I do have a question that's come up, and it's from David. So David, thank you for typing this. He says, those of us who are appearing daily to protest the awful, awful bills through public comment really appreciate the dose of positive energy. I agree. I needed it too. We could really use some guidance around how to stop the steamroller of awfulness in the Senate, House. Is the Solution Caucus still a thing? Can they help?
Yes, they can. The most effective talking points you can bring are to what the Republican Party states are its values. They want to be fiscally responsible. Well, you're not, and they want to grow our economy. They want to move Montana forward with a strong economy. Well, the way that you do not do that is to go down the road that North Carolina went down and passed these terrible bills, these judgmental, awful, personal bills, and they tanked their economy. They absolutely went under by hundreds of millions of dollars. They had, I think the NCAA pulled its tournament, the PGA pulled tournaments. Businesses decided not to cite their companies there or to do business there at all anymore. So I think those are really strong arguments. I think it's also worthwhile just to say, judge, and if you want to bring in a biblical reference for the Christians on the committee, judge not lest ye be judged. What, you don't need to know. You don't need to know what my birth gender was. I am who I am. Everyone on the committee has been allowed to express themselves in their way. And so there is no cause to remove. There is nothing to be gained by a society or by an economy by limiting people's personal rights. That is not the way to go about it. And we have all of the examples. We can be smarter than other states that have made this, I was going to say mistake, but let's not put that word into play. They have made this policy change and suffered with hundreds of millions of dollars of loss because of it. So really, we know why we hate these bills. And there will be plenty of opponents who bring up the, individual personal reasons for that. Another way to speak to Republicans, and especially those in the Solutions Caucus who may be thinking, and also bring up that because of the pandemic, we already are suffering. Our economy is not as strong as it was pre-pandemic. And for us to get out of that, we need to focus on far greater things. We need a healthy, safe population. That's how we get back to business. That's how we get kids back in schools. It is not by judging people on how they present themselves.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Thank you. So another question that has come up recently, and this kind of goes to what you were just talking about. Right now, we can participate virtually, testify via Zoom in the committee hearings. But a question did come up this week of if I am an individual who maybe I'm not, immunocompromised, I'm healthy, don't fit any of the high risk categories, and there's a bill that I feel very strongly about and have a strong personal connection to, should I go to Helena to testify in front of the committee? Is that going to have more weight than doing it on Zoom? And that is kind of I think that's kind of a hard question to answer personally. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or not.
One thing that I really like about this session, and I worked, so I served on legislative council, which really focuses on the nuts and bolts of the session. It's how we conduct the business of the legislature. And so all interim long, we talked about remote access. We conducted our own interim committee meetings via remote access. I think the determination to appear in person or remotely is just an individual one. In a normal year, there are times when the weather events were such that I did not want anybody driving to Helena on Montana winter roads. I feared for their safety. And I thought, you can email legislators, you can submit testimony to the committee. You don't have to take your life in your hands to do this. And I would just say, I don't think it is overstating that there is a real danger in the Capitol with people who will not practice the personal health protective procedures, they won't even wear a mask. And we know there have been, I think, 3 cases that we know of since the start of this session. That we know of, right? That's people coming forward and saying, I'm going to be remote because I've tested positive, or I'm a close contact, or whatever it is. And so it's up to you. I think it's just worthwhile to participate. Whether I hear from, and I know when I'm in committee, and I am participating remotely. There are times when I participate remotely from a site in Helena. There are times when I participate remotely from a site in Bozeman, my home district. But it's just most important to participate. And it is more effective, I can tell you this, it is more effective to participate during the committee hearing and on Zoom. I try to make it through all of my emails, but I have to tell you, from the start of the session, which is just 2.5 weeks ago, I got a notice from Gmail that my account is full. I mean, I cannot keep up. I don't see every message, but I'll tell you where I am when there's a committee hearing. I am in committee and listening and asking questions and engaging on that bill. And so I think that is really can be much more effective in some ways than hoping that your message gets seen when I'm so sorry, I can't keep up.
Yeah, and that's fair. And we want, I love that. I actually love that your inbox is full, because that means that people are engaging, right? Like,
Yes.
That's awesome.
I do too. I feel the pressure of trying to respond, and it just can't be done. But even if I just read a message, move on, and then I've got to get to something else. If you don't hear from me, please know I'm seeing your messages. I can't begin to get caught up with replying. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
but I see that.
Yeah,
I hear you.
That's good. You are seen and you are heard. So just for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, in order to testify via Zoom in a committee hearing, you need to request that the day before by noon. So I actually did this earlier this week. I did testify in front of one of the committees of one of the atrocious bills. And unfortunately, they didn't really do the right time allocations for, proponents versus opponents. And so I didn't get to give my full message. And so one of the questions that did come up because of that is, committee chairs get to kind of decide how the Zoom participation works. So like, I was never on camera, like they didn't actually see me, they just saw my name. Would that be different from committee to committee?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And it does depend on the committee chair. So, and that rule was adopted early in the session when we adopted joint and Senate and House of Representatives rules. And so it is up to the committee chairs. And, we put a lot of authority into the committee chairman. And so they can just decide. Senate tax, my primary committee, my morning committee every weekday. If people want to appear by video, that's fine. Most don't. I think they're admitted first without their video on. But we have heard testimony from people on video. We've heard testimony from people just using audio. But in the House, I think they are limiting it and don't want to use the video. I think they will allow audio. And then one thing that does, I know this sounds strange, but I keep notes as I hear every person testify on a bill. One advantage to not having your video on is that the correct spelling of your name appears. So it is really helpful for me. There are some unique spellings, and once I hear it pronounced and I write it down, I think, okay, there it is. I don't have to try and remember how that went. So I mean, it's just one strange little factor, but
right.
It's effective.
Right. Absolutely. I frankly personally love that we can participate via Zoom. I think that will make it so much easier for me and for a lot of people to participate. So do testify. I think that we probably want to do some trainings about sharing your story, talking about why you're, supporting or opposing bills based on your experience. So like really talking about that personal shared story. So stay tuned for that. It's an idea I have in my head. I have lots of ideas in my head, but anyway, but do keep sending public comments, do keep engaging and participating. One final question. What is the worst case scenario with these awful bills? Will the courts save us?
Well, we have a couple of potential backstops.
Okay.
It would be, so whatever can be done to increase the fiscal impact of a bill increases its likelihood that it will not pass, because anything with greater than $100,000 in the House or $50,000 in the Senate may get passed first by a policy committee, but then if it exceeds those dollar amounts in those chambers, it is re-referred to the Money Committee, Finance and Claims in the Senate, or Appropriations in the House. And the budget is slim. The budget has already been attacked by Senate and House Republicans, who determined that the Health and Human Services budget should start $1 billion less. And, of course, they made all the noise, oh, we'll backfill it, we'll restore it. And I thought, well, if that's the plan, then why cut it in the first place? You're just, stop it. You're just agonizing. The people are just going to agonize about this. And there's no reason for it if you're going to put it back. Right. You also can appeal to the next chamber and use all your same arguments. I know it's painful to testify on these bills. Believe me, I have lived this. I live it with you. But it is entirely worthwhile to testify on the bill in the House and in the Senate. We don't have time to talk to each other. I'm sorry to say, I would dearly love to have more conversations with the House members. And I'm in committee when they are in their committees. Yeah. I'm on the floor in the Senate chamber when they are in floor session in the House chamber. There is so little cross-pollination that goes on, I am sorry to say. So it's entirely worthwhile for you to testify in the next chamber's committee. Please do that. Mm-hmm. Then the last thing is write the governor. And I can tell you that the most effective way for your message to be received by Governor Gianforte is to focus on the economy and the financial effect. Will transgender bills be good for Montana's economy and businesses? No, they will not. We will go down the road that North Carolina did. They lost these sponsors. They lost this business. They lost all credibility for, just use that. So we do have that. As a last resort, Montana's constitution is stronger than a lot of states. We have a guaranteed right to privacy that is ensconced in our constitution that is not even in the US Constitution. There may be some protections there, but that presumes that these awful bills pass and become law, and then they have to be challenged in the courts, which is pretty darn painful. I think it would be worthwhile to bring that up too. Why would you give more money to trial lawyers, Governor Gianforte, fighting these bills that will be struck down? We're better than this. We don't have to go down a road that has been proven to be a terrible hit for the financial effect and for the reputation of a state. We are live and let live. we have more important things to do. I thought we were going to focus on the economy and getting people back to work and kids back in school and good paying jobs. How is that accomplished with this?
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you. You've given us a lot to think about. Good marching orders. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for serving the people of Gallatin County and Montana. We are so grateful to you for your years of service and everything that you do. Thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you back. I'm so grateful to be among you. I love that the Gallatin County Democrats were the blue wave in the state. We are the model to be followed. I couldn't be prouder. I'm so happy to be a member and to be among you. And whatever vile stuff happens in Montana, forever is 2 years. The next election is 2 years.
Right.
And I have one heck of a lot more hope as of yesterday, Wednesday, Inauguration Day, than I have had for the past 4 years.
Agreed.
Honestly, I would dearly love for some of these policies just to be, oh God, dare I say, trumped by federal policy, federal statute.
Yep.
We are subject to the supremacy clause. If it's a federal law, it applies everywhere, and Montana can't decide for itself to do some terrible, awful thing. So here's another thing. How about writing to President Biden?
Right.
President Biden.
Right.
Transgender individuals have Montana's Constitution guarantees the right to privacy. We are rugged individualists, just like every other American is. President Biden, please issue protections, or and how about Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer? Please pass federal law that protects transgender individuals. How about that? Let's just do it federally, and then it doesn't matter what Montana does.
There you go. I love it. Let's do it. Let's think big. We don't think big enough, JP. We don't. Let's do it.
Honestly, it's a new day. We don't have the majorities here, but we do have them elsewhere.
Yes. Awesome. Well, with that, I love the positivity. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Rest. I hope you get to enjoy a little bit of your weekend too. And, we look forward to having a conversation with you again sometime soon.
Thank you all. I think the world of all of you. Thank you so much for your participation.
All right. Take care.